Hosanna sanctus Deus Sabaoth super illustrans claritate tua felicis ignis horum malahath. Thus chanting saw I turn that substance bright with fourfold luster to its orb again, revolving, and the rest unto their dance with it moved also, and like swiftest sparks, in sudden distance from my sight were veiled. Me doubt possessed, and speak, it whispered me, speak, speak unto thy lady, that she quench thy thirst with drops of sweetness. Yet blank awe, which lords it o'er me, even at the sound of Beatrice's name, did bow me down as one in slumber held. Not long that mood Beatrice suffered, she, with such a smile, as might have made one blessed amid the flames, beaming upon me, thus her words began, Thou in thy thought art pondering, as I deem, and what I deem is truth how just revenge could be with justice punished, from which doubt I soon will free thee, so thou mark my words, for they of weighty matter shall possess thee. That man, who was unborn, himself condemned, and, in himself, all, who since him have lived, his offspring, whence, below, the humankind lay sick in grievous error many an age, until it pleased the word of God to come amongst them down, to his own person joining the nature, from its maker far estranged, by the mere act of his eternal love. Contemplate here the wonder I unfold. The nature with its maker thus conjoined, created first was blameless, pure and good, but through itself alone was driven forth from paradise, because it had eschewed the way of truth and life, to evil turned. Ne'er then was penalty so just as that inflicted by the cross, if thou regard the nature in assumption doomed, ne'er wrong so great, in reference to him, who took such nature on him, and endured the doom. God therefore and the Jews one sentence pleased, so different effects flowed from one act, and heaven was opened, though the earth did quake. Count it not hard henceforth, when thou dost hear that a just vengeance was by righteous court justly revenged. But yet I see thy mind by thought on thought arising sore perplexed, and with how vehement desire it asks solution of the maze. What I have heard, is plain, thou sayest, but wherefore God this way for our redemption chose, eludes my search. Brother! No eye of man not perfected, nor fully ripened in the flame of love, may fathom this decree. It is a mark, in sooth, much aimed at, and but little kenned, and I will therefore show thee why such way was worthiest. The celestial love, that spume all envying in its bounty, in itself with such effulgence blazeth, as sends forth all beauteous things eternal. What distills immediate thence, no end of being knows, bearing its seal immutably impressed. Whatever thence immediate falls, is free, holy, uncontrollable by power of each thing new, by such conformity more grateful to its author, whose bright beams, though all partake their shining, yet in those are liveliest, which resemble him the most. These tokens of preeminence on man largely bestowed, if any of them fail, he needs must forfeit his nobility, no longer stainless. Sin alone is that, which doth disfranchise him, and make unlike to the chief good, for that its light in him is darkened. And to dignity thus lost is no return, unless, where guilt makes void, he for ill pleasure pay with equal pain. Your nature, which entirely in its seed transgressed, from these distinctions fell, no less than from its state in paradise, nor means fond of recovery, search all methods out as strictly as thou may, save one of these, the only fords were left through which to wade, either that God had of his courtesy released him merely, or else man himself for his own folly by himself attent. Fix now thine eye, intently as thou canst, on th everlasting counsel, and explore, instructed by my words, the dread abyss. Man in himself had ever lacked the means of satisfaction, for he could not stoop obeying, in humility so low, as high he, disobeying, thought to soar, and for this reason he had vainly tried out of his own sufficiency to pay the rigid satisfaction. Then behooved that God should by his own ways lead him back unto the life, from whence he fell, restored, by both his ways, I mean, or one alone. But since the deed is ever prized the more the doer's good intent appears, goodness celestial, whose broad signature is on the universe, of all its ways to raise ye up, was fain to leave out none, nor aught so vast or so magnificent, either for him who gave or who received between the last night and the primal day, was or can be. For God more bounty showed, giving himself to make man capable of his return to life, than had the terms been mere and unconditional release. And for his justice, every method else were all too scant, had not the Son of God humbled himself to put on mortal flesh. Now, to fulfill each wish of thine, remains I somewhat further to thy view unfold. that thou mayst see as clearly as myself. I see, thou sayest, the air, the fire I see, the earth and water, and all things of them compounded, to corruption turn, and soon dissolve. Yet these were also things create, because, if what were told me, had been true, they from corruption had been therefore free. The angels, O my brother. And this clime wherein thou art, impassible and pure, I call created, as indeed they are in their whole being. But the elements, which thou hast named, and what of them is made, are by created virtue informed, create their substance, and create the informing virtue in these bright stars, that round them circling move the soul of every brute and of each plant, the ray and motion of the sacred lights, with complex potency attract in turn. But this our life the eternal good inspires immediate, and enamors of itself, so that our wishes rest forever here. And hence thou mayst by inference conclude our resurrection certain, if thy mind consider how the human flesh was framed, when both our parents at the first were made.